Sheamus gets his rematch against the Big Show for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I have to say the last time they had this match at Hell in a Cell, I was disappointed that it wasn't a Hell in a Cell match because to me, if you're going to have a whole pay-per-view about Hell in a Cell, which I don't even think is a good idea, at the very least you can have two Hell in a Cell matches. But I was pleasantly surprised at their match, so I was going into this expecting it to be a little bit better than what I originally thought this feud was going to be. But the quality of this match, I thought it was good, although the ending of it, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I don't know if that was a good ending or a bad ending. I like parts of it, and I really hate some other parts. The way that this match ended, for those who didn't see it and didn't see Raw or SmackDown, there was a little situation with Big Show pulling referee Scott Armstrong into the way for Sheamus to kick him with a brogue kick. And then after he was knocked out, of course, another referee comes down and the trainers are checking up on Scott Armstrong, and Big Show decides to nail Sheamus with the WMD, and another referee decides to count the pinfall. Another one argues with them, and they kind of rule the whole thing a draw. Essentially, they're saying that it was a disqualification win for Sheamus instead. So Big Show retains the title, but doesn't actually win the match. I was kind of hoping that this would be the end of the feud, so I don't really like that it ended that way. But at the same time, it was a little different than what they could have done. So I'll give them kudos for trying something else instead of just having Sheamus get distracted and Big Show knock him out, or maybe Sheamus just pulls out the chair and starts hitting Big Show with it and gets disqualified that way or something like that. But before we get into the chair thing, what did you think about the actual end of the match and the quality of the match itself?
Well, as far as the match itself goes, I mean, I was really enjoyed by it. I was very entertained by it. I mean, I loved their match at Hell in a Cell. It really superseded expectations going into it. I mean, the feud going into that event was absolute garbage. I mean, I cannot
Terrible.
go. I mean, I cannot. I could go into a 50-minute rant about that feud going into the event, but they did a great job with their match at Hell in a Cell. I think the month of October really, or the month of November rather, has really turned this feud around. I've been really enjoying what they've been doing on Raw and SmackDown, and being the huge mark of William Regal that I am, I like the involvement of him as well, trying to make this feud a little bit more personal between Big Show and Sheamus. So the match itself on Survivor Series wasn't as good as their match at Hell in a Cell, in my personal opinion. But even still, I liked the match. They had some cool spots. The crowd was into it. I'm not disappointed by the finish because I kind of figured this would be a transcending, if that's the correct word for it, or kind of a treading water kind of match going into TLC. Because after the match, you could blatantly see that, with Sheamus attacking Big Show with the chairs was pretty much foreshadowing a chairs match between the two at TLC, and which was confirmed tonight on SmackDown. Chairs match between the two at TLC over the World Heavyweight Championship, so that's fine. But my only problem with this was the fact that it was so similar to last year's event, if you can recall. A lot of similarities between both this year's and last year's event, by the way. But with that being said, the World Heavyweight Championship match, Mark Henry, Big Show, ends in a disqualification when Mark Henry disqualified himself. After the match, Big Show attacks Mark Henry, injured his ankle or right leg or something like that. Same thing this year. I mean, the same exact thing. And this doesn't relate to last year's event, but rather 2009's event when Sheamus attacks Scott Armstrong unintentionally. This was a legitimate injury when he kneed him in the head during the course of a 5-on-5 tag team match. So, I mean, there was a lot of similarities between this and years past, which I thought was pretty interesting. But even still, I mean, I was fine with the finish. I was just satisfied that Big Show was still world champion. I wanted this feud to continue because, as I said, I've been enjoying it since Hell in a Cell, and I'm glad they're continuing it. But as long as Big Show holds on to the championship going forward, that's my only main concern. I would absolutely love if he held on to the championship until WrestleMania. I mean, as much as I hate the Big Show, he's been a good world champion over the last few weeks. And if he was to face, being a long-reigning world champion going into his match or potential match with Ryback at WrestleMania, the potential Royal Rumble winner, that would be epic and a huge WrestleMania-like showdown that I would love to see. So I've been enjoying this feud, and after the match, I really enjoyed it, and I was fine with the finish as well.
That's funny that you mentioned Ryback winning the Royal Rumble and challenging Big Show, because that's actually something I've been touting for a few weeks now as a possibility. I think that that's actually one of the 5 things that they might be doing. The 5 people, because I keep running, I always do, for anybody who hasn't followed the show in the the past year and is just kind of getting into it right now, I always make a big point at the Royal Rumble to do a whole lot of predictions. I try to predict everything from who's going to be the Iron Man to who comes out at what entrance number. And so I start writing my notes up, a couple months ahead of time. And the only thing I can see happening as far as the 5 potential picks for the Royal Rumble right now are John Cena, CM Punk, because you need to figure out some kind of way with The Rock if he potentially wins, Ryback, Daniel Bryan, and maybe the offshot of somebody like The Miz or something like that. But I'm really leaning towards that potential of Ryback winning that World Heavyweight Championship from Big Show as one of the opening matches of the night, too. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a main event. But we will see what happens with that. As far as the TLC match, I really, as soon as I saw that chair come out, like you were saying, it's the same as last year. I was just like, okay, I know where they're going here. You might as well not even do the rest of the segment and just say TLC match. The TLC match is going to be a chairs match, which I hate chairs matches. I just don't see the point in them at all. If you're going to have a no disqualification match, have a no disqualification match, but don't make it to where you can only use a chair. It's just, I'm sure I'll be making fun of that when we come down to those predictions. But nonetheless, this feud is going to continue, so hopefully their matches are going to continue to be as good as they were, at the very least, if not better. And we'll see when that comes along. The next part we will talk about is the elimination match, and we will talk to you about the little switch-up that happened with that, as well as, obviously, the rest of the review and the results in Part 9.